just says the great and powerful artist. Ridiculous name aside, we could certainly use a building like that. They're a year into this mess.
What's that vibrating?
Hello, audience. I am Zibato, and I am here to narrate so that you can better understand the story.
They're not real life here, they're just some figment of my imagination.
The way of the future.
I recently got dinner with my high school video production teacher, and something he said was very interesting to me. He said that a lot of his students don't want to make anything, or they spend a lot of time stuck on thinking of something good to make because they're so afraid of making something that comes across as cringe, and they don't want to be in anything. They don't want to be perceived negatively for making something bad or something cringy. And at first my gut reaction to that was, what a bunch of babies. But then I stopped and I thought about it for a little bit longer, and it's like, yeah, when I was young and making bad, cringy videos, the only people that ran the risk of seeing it were the people that followed me, and that was like 12 people, if I even posted it anywhere. But now, with the algorithm, it's possible that your bad video gets pushed out to thousands of strangers who don't have the context or know you, and so they don't have the delicate touch that somebody new needs in terms of reception. It really got me thinking, like, okay, how do you be bad at something? I'm gonna actually look up the quote. There's a quote that's like, be brave enough to suck at something new. Be brave enough to be bad. Okay, this is like one of those things that, like, when a self-help author comes up with a good idea and then they trademark it, that shit's corny. But anyway, it's true. It's a true sentiment. Like, you need to love it enough to be bad at it, but I think it's hard to even get to the point of loving it when you're bad at it. But I think these are the things that I think are important to keep in mind. One, you can be bad at things in isolation. You don't necessarily have to share it. Like, I don't know anything about bike maintenance, but I was like, okay, I'm going to learn how to fix my bike. I'm going to clean it and tune it up. And I just watched a lot of videos. That's the thing, that if you don't know, just look it up. Go on YouTube and search something, or Google it. You know, like, obviously Google is kind of bad now because of the AI thing, but, you know, if you know how to look for something, it is so easy to learn how to do something and try it and be bad at it and, like, mess up over and over again, but eventually you'll get it right.
Against that spring, various shift positions. Where are limit screws set? Is it already too tight? Is it far too loose?
And it's very satisfying to get things done in that way. I'm very curious what this is going to sound like and what it's going to look like, because it's got a lot of movement. Holy shit. Can't believe I forgot my water. Another thing, and this is a little bit harder to do, but it's super helpful, is to find like a friend that is really good at something. Like, I don't know anything about skating, but I know people that are really into it, and so they help me, and that's huge. Like, if you can find somebody to help you that's really good at it. Or another thing that's equally beneficial, but not talked about as much, is if you find somebody that is equally bad at it as you.
Yeah, I'm a skater.
And so if you're going through it together and you're both bad, then you have the support of another person that's bad, and you guys can, like, pull each other through the situation, which is very helpful. But let's talk about filmmaking, because that's really what I want to talk about. Unfortunately, I don't think there's any way to get around making things that are cringe. I wanna be with you everywhere. Because it's such a difficult medium to master without completing things. Like, you have to create finished films in order to learn and to get better and understand what you did incorrectly and to find your style. And so you have to get strong. You have to get a thick skin, and that's hard and that's scary. Unfortunately, I think a lot of this is going to be something that you just have to discover for yourself. You know, me telling you is not going to help you getting the emotional fortitude that you need to excel in this area, but you have to learn as early as possible which opinions to take seriously and which opinions to not take seriously. It took me a very long time to learn this, and I'm finally at a place now where I'm confident in my taste and my execution. It was hard, especially in like the academic space, like film school. I had the attitude of like, oh, they're a professor, they know what they're talking about. And I think I made some of my least inspired works at the behest of, you know, 60-year-old professors, where I think looking back, if I would have just made the things that I wanted to make, they would have been better. They would have had more passion or heart or whatever, you know. And so that's an important lesson, and it's very hard to learn, because also this is the other edge of this sword. At the beginning, you're going to want to listen to people, because if you're too far to the other extreme, if you're too like, I know my taste is good, I know my style is good, I know what I like is good, I know what I'm making is good, odds are you're not making things that are that good. Like, let's just face it, the reality of it. I wasn't making good things, but I thought I was making high art when I was very young. And I think it's good to be overconfident. I think 9 out of 10 times it's better to be overconfident than underconfident. So if you had to fail one way, I would fail to the extreme of being overconfident. But what was I? Damn, brother, can you up? You're gonna be bad, and so you are going to have to take some criticism, and you're gonna have to listen to people, because there's nothing worse than somebody that doesn't take any criticism and just keeps making shit that nobody wants to watch. And I think lastly, if I could conclude this rant here with one final beat, it's that thing, you're gonna, no matter what, look back and find things that you did to be cringy. And so I think that sooner that you get comfortable with the thought of like, oh, there's a chance that this will be cringy to me. Even now, I look back at YouTube videos that I made 2 years ago, where I'm doing the YouTuber thing, where I'm, you know, where I'm saying, hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel, and trying to reverse engineer a popular video. Those are cringy to me. If I could leave you with any final advice, it would be to just how to be bad at something. Just do it. Just make things. You've got to want to be bad at it, frankly, because you can't get good at it without being bad at it. There's no shortcut to this. You just have to make things, and you have to learn to be comfortable with the responses to that thing. And so I guess the solution really is you have to believe in it so much that you're willing to endure for it, if that makes sense. You have to believe in it enough that should your fears come true about it being perceived as cringe or embarrassing or whatever, you've got to just be like, yeah, sure, but I believed in it in that moment. Or, and this is another thing that people don't really talk about, if you had fun, it doesn't matter. Like, if you're like, oh yeah, sure, it's cringy as fuck that I made this stupid video with a skit in it, but while I was making it, it was a lot of fun. So you just gotta try new things, you know, because sooner or later AI has no fear. The AI is coming to take all of the creativity out of our lives, and it has no fear of being cringy. So maybe the most human thing we can do is be cringe. You ever think about that?